can tell, I was going to actually video the making of this project, but it proved that I had such a short time scale, and it does take a lot longer to make a project when you're videoing it. So I made the decision originally just to take some photos and then post those and some how-tos online. However, when it finished it, I've got a little bit of extra time, so I thought I'll do a quick video, because it's always nicer, I think, seeing it in video form, so that you could have a little look at what I'd done. Because I think, even if I do say so myself, I think it's pretty amazing. Does that sound really big-headed? Oh well, sorry. But I'm really pleased. I was really worried when I got this project. It's a commission. I've got 3 cards that I've got to do. I'm hoping to be able to video the other ones for you, because I've got a little bit longer to do those. But I was a bit worried when I got this commission, because I didn't have a lot of instruction. The client knows my work. She's had me do stuff for her a lot, and so she kind of says, well, just do something wonderful. And it's sort of like, well, where do you go with that, because you don't know where to start. So the only kind of thing that she gave me was a newspaper theme. So that's kind of, I went with that and ran with it a bit. And I have to say I'm really pleased with the result, because I was worried that it might come out looking a bit, I don't know, just didn't think it would come out any good. I thought it might come out a bit boring, but actually I'm really, really pleased with the result. And it's for a guy, so I don't think it's too girly, but it's not too kind of, I didn't want it to, yeah, as I said, I just didn't want it to be boring, so it was just really hard to kind of work out what I was doing. And this particular project, and it's just a shame in a way I couldn't video it for you, but it's a real try machine project, because I used my Imagine, I used my Silhouette, and I used my Spellbinders machine. So I used all of my main machines, because I needed all of them to achieve the effects that I wanted. The Imagine I used to print all this gorgeous paper, including this here, which when you get a bit closer you'll see. The Silhouette I used because this was a digital stamp, and I wanted to cut around it, so I did a trace print and trace feature thing on that. I have videoed or started to video a project on how to do that, or not a project, I think it's actually just a how-to video, so hopefully I'll be able to get that up to you at some point. And then obviously, and I cut out my flowers here on my Imagine and made those. That was a bit fiddly because I'm not very good at making flowers yet, but mainly because I haven't got my hot glue gun. I can't find it, so that made it a bit more fiddly. And then the Spellbinders was the newspaper here, and I will be posting this online, so when I do that I will make more details of exactly what dies they were, etc., and the sizing and all of that, because I haven't got them out. I cleared up because I've started the next project, so I haven't got them out at the moment. But this was one of the dies, and I literally just created a newspaper with that, and we'll have a bit of a closer look in a minute. I've used some corners here which were cut out with the Spellbinders as well. And then on the inside we've got this here, which was printed on the Imagine, and then this part here I'll explain in a moment, but this was printed on the Imagine. The text wasn't, but the actual paper, not the back, and I cut the actual tag using my Spellbinders die. So it's a real multi-machine project here. So let me just go through this kind of hopefully in order of what I did. I hope I won't forget anything, but before I do, because I think I will forget this actually, is the other thing I did was I lined my envelope with just some scraps of the print that was left, and I thought that looked really, really nice. This was the Imagine cartridge, and this was a piece of paper that I had already, so some of that paper was not printed. But okay, so the first thing that I did was my usual make my own 8x8 card. So I did that taking 2 pieces of the Hunky Dory cardstock in this gorgeous sort of gold, and I put the colour on the inside, and again, like I've shown on other videos, so hopefully you'll find that, and I may well do again, I'm probably going to do some separate videos with this sort of thing on for you so that it's easier to find rather than hunting through projects, but it is on there, it is out there at the moment, but as I say, I'll try and get all that done more sort of conveniently in the future for you. Anyway, I take one piece of my card and I cut it to exactly 8x8. The other piece of card, I cut it to 8 inches long but 9 inches wide, scoring then at the 1 inch mark. I can then, and I don't know if you can just see, I don't think you will. Oh, can you just see in the middle of those 2 sheets there's a little edge, and you can see where I've stuck it on the back of this sheet. And what I did at the very end is I always cover the back because 1, I don't like that line, but 2, I'm a bit of a messy pup when I've got these big cards and I tend to end up with blobs of glue and ink and all sorts. Apart from which, I just think it looks, you know, if somebody's paying me quite a lot of money for a card like this, I think it looks a lot better to have it finished nicely on the back. But that is the very last thing I do, literally the last thing, is cut another piece of 8x8 and pop that on the back. Anyway, so that's then my base card made. So the outside of my card is then white and the colour is on the inside, and I do that because, I mean, look, you open it, doesn't it look luxurious and gorgeous and amazing? Now, when I was printing my Imagine papers, I did some squares of 6x6, so this was one of the squares because I wasn't sure exactly which ones I'd want, and there was another one in this sort of creamy coloured damask here and the green damask here I also cut. So I had 3 6x6 squares on my one piece of paper, and when I saw this cut out I thought, oh, that won't work for me because it's just not what I was looking for, but then I saw it on the inside here and thought it'd be perfect for a sentiment on the inside, and I just thought it would just look really nice. So I just inked around, which those of you who watch me regularly will know is quite unusual for me to do any kind of inking. So I inked around the edges using the Tim Holtz brown, I don't know what colour it is, again I'll put details when I post this more properly, and also a gold to give it like a shimmer, but you can't hugely see it in this light. I can't really see it until I get it into the daylight really. This part I didn't do till later, so we'll come to that later, but it was because there was it's like part of the present, he's got a trip, so they wanted somewhere to put the details. So all I did, while I'm here I may as well say, this as I say was done nearly at the end, was I took a scrap of my gold, a scrap of the black, you can just see there's like a mat of black there. I put the gold through the Sue Wilson embossing folder that I showed you in a haul video, and it's the damask one, and I think that comes up beautifully. This is all Hunky Dory, anything that isn't printed is all the Hunky Dory cardstock, and I think that came up really lovely. And then I literally had a scrap of the cream, like a tiny, it literally goes just past there, and I punched the edge and I popped that down with a bit of glue. I then used my red tape around all 3 sides, and you really do need to use something like that because it has to be strong when you're making a pocket. So then I stuck that down to make my pocket. I then cut out, using my die, this tag. I should have cut the second one out using this pattern paper, but I didn't decide to put it on till after, and then I was thinking, oh, I'll just put it up to here and cut it and make a straight line, but then when I put it on I decided to cover it, so I just cut round it by hand. It was very easy, and I used my little tool to put my eyelet in, and then I just printed the information, inked around the edge and stuck that on, and that will stick in there like that. And I just used some scraps from this piece when I wrapped it round to pop through the eyelet before obviously I stuck this down. So that's the inside done. And then to the outside, which was actually what I did first, I'll get you closer as we get further into the detail, but the first thing I did was I took a piece of the cream hunky-dory, and it was a really kind of buttermilk cream, and I placed that down as a full 8x8 over the top of my card because I didn't want white, so I did that. Then I did the same with black, only I did it like 1/8 of an inch in, and then the same with my printed paper. This paper was what here is the one that I printed off my Imagine, and I had a full sheet of 12x12, so I was able to use that for matting this down. I then matted up this next layer here. I didn't put it together at this point onto the main card, but I matted the cream, the black, and then this paper that I had from a K & Company snack, I think it was. So I just popped that on there, and I didn't put my corners on or anything like that at this point. I had already made my flowers using my Cricut, and I'd cut those out, and they had dried overnight completely, so that was all done. And my man, which again I'll talk to you about him in a minute, I had already done him, so I matted him onto the black and then onto the cream. And then so at the moment I have the main card, my first set of mats here, and then this one. I then wanted to do the happy birthday on a tag, but when I stamped it on here, it didn't wear it on some scrap that I had. It was hard to find a piece that was kind of where it would show, so I then found one that was like a little advert, and I stamped it on sideways, and it looked perfect. And I was originally going to have it like a tag across here, and then as I just put it, I happened to put this down on top of it, kind of like that, and I thought, oh, that's such a good idea. So again, I'll show you that when we a bit closer in a minute. So then I matted that up onto the black, then the cream, because I cut round it by hand, this shape. As I say, it was like a little square but with rounded corners of an advert. So that again I matted up and was all ready. I got my doily here, and I inked it with gold and black, with the gold and the brown, but when it came to it, I hated it on here. It was too much, it needed lifting, so I got a white one, and I think that looked much better. My corners I cut using one of the gold imperial dies, and again I inked those. And my newspaper here I cut using one of the dies on the spellbinders, and again I'll make a note of what that is when I post this all online. And I cut 3 layers, I inked them, and I literally folded them all in half, inked around the edges. I picked one piece very carefully for the top one where it would be, so it looked like a newspaper, because they were kind of all adverts. And then, as I say, inked around the edges, folded it in half, and then inked down that centerpiece as well. And I lightly spritzed, as I did with the flowers, all 3 sheets, and folded them in half, and curved the edges up, and then left them to dry. When they were dry, I then just used a sticky PVA adhesive down the center here, and just stuck all 3 sheets together. And that just kind of, they're only stuck in the center, as you can see, look. But when I stuck it down, I used an inordinate amount of glue gel down the center here. But I also placed a little piece under these wings here of the bottom, because I wanted the bottom part of the newspaper to not curve, because it gave a better look. Let me just get in a bit closer now and show you. See how by sticking that down, if I hadn't stuck it down, it would have been like this top layer where it was close. By sticking it down, you can kind of see that layer, and I think that looks better. And you can see that the image here looks quite effective. It looks kind of like the back of a newspaper. This had a really nice front, and it looked really good, but I suddenly realised that I wanted to put his age on, or I needed to put his age on, so I put the 80 on there. I had these fabulous stickers. These are actually just stickers, and then I thought I'd put the news across there as well, and they look real newsprinty. And then all I did was get the ink just to take the whiteness off them, so that worked really well. So that was all then constructed. At that point I hadn't stuck it down, although I have explained how I stuck it down. So that was kind of all over to one side. This first mat down and glued it with just a small kind of bit of height, but nothing much. Oh, sorry, before I did that, I put my doily down, which you can just see in the corner there. And I just used tape pen for that. I then put this mat down. So let me start again to show you. So we've got the main card, which I matted these bottom layers here. I then put my doily on. I then put this mat on, which we'd matted up a couple of layers. It hadn't got its corners at that point. I then stuck my man down, and I then put very carefully a load of glue gel under the tag here and slid it underneath, so that rather than trying to place it and fiddle around, I worked out where it needed to go and just popped it underneath very carefully, so it was much simpler. And then I popped my corners on, which are really, really gorgeous. I popped all of those on. You can see that lovely tag, look, really effective. And then I stuck my flowers on. I then very carefully, just as I'd stuck those on, put a couple of stick pins in using the black so it's not too girly. I then wrapped the twine around and just created a nice bow, double wrapped it, and then just putting 4 little black pearls in the corner, although in this bottom corner here we did the 3 black pearls just to give a bit of extra something. Okay, so now to our man. What I did for him was it was a little bit complicated to explain, but I'll do my best and hopefully you can understand me. As I said earlier, I printed out on my Imagine a couple of pieces of 6x6 on one sheet of cardstock, and I did this lovely background here, this gorgeous green, and this like newspaper print in the background behind this actual lines, the dark black lines. And then what I did was I ignored the plain piece here, and then I took the green square and the newspaper square, which were one after each other like so, and I was able to put them through my printer like that, and I printed the guy out twice onto there. I then cut the newspaper out of the newspaper colour and the green pieces for the sofa, for the chair, out of the green piece that I printed it on. I then had print and cut one of the man on my silhouette. So I then just had this edge. This is actually stuck onto the piece behind, so this is all cut here. So I then did that. I also, and on that piece I coloured in things like his hands, the floor, the coffee cup, which you can't really see under there, and that's pretty much all. And then I stuck on my green for my sofa, and I stuck on my newspaper. So that was all on that cutout piece. I then did another print just through my printer on a normal piece of paper of the man on his own. I coloured in the shirt, the trousers and the dog, and I cut those out pretty much as one piece apart from the arm. And I then, obviously after colouring them, and I then paper pieced them onto this section as well, because otherwise what happens is he becomes lower than the chair, because the chair is paper pieced and dimensionally it's out of sync, so it just didn't look right. So I needed to paper piece all of it, apart from the pieces that I wanted to be further back, like his feet and hands, which would be lower than the chair and the legs, so it just dimensionally looked right. I then, once that image was all finished, and it comes around, as I say, all around here, I took that and I stuck it on my 6x6 piece here that I'd printed on my Imagine, and I cut that down, I think it was to about 4 3/4 square, and then I matted it onto these layers. So let me just let you have a closer look at the patterning on that, and then you might be able to see. There, can you just see where the layering is? And then you can see there's the newspaper print, and there's the print on the chair, and you can see how he's now sitting on the chair. So that's what we did on there, and I think that looked really effective, but it took ages because all of these pieces of the chair and the man and the newspaper I had to cut by hand, and also I was working it out and I made a couple of mistakes with how I was doing it, so we got there in the end, but it did take a long time. But I personally think the result's worth it, so I'm really pleased with that. So hopefully that makes sense. I will try and do a demonstration of something like this in the future where I've got more time to go through this kind of technique and show you on a video, and I'm sorry that I just didn't have the time this time. Anyway, then we stuck that down onto the mat below, and then as I said, I put my little tag on underneath. I stuck my flowers on, put my pins in, and put my newspaper on, as I explained to you before. And then last but not least, I stuck the back piece of card on, and that was our finished card. And I'm really pleased. I'm even pleased that I made these little flowers, because I'm just pleased with all of it. And the newspaper, I think, came out fantastic, and I'm just really chuffed with how it came out. So I hope you like it as much as I do, and I'm really sorry, as I say, that I didn't get to show you the how-to with this, but hopefully at least you've had a chance to look at it. And as I say, I'll post some photos and do a little bit more explanation, hopefully, and telling you exactly what dyes I used, etc. Alright, well, thanks for watching, and I will see you all again soon. I hope you liked it. Bye!